Welcome back to part 2 of our tutorial where we are creating a little app for Fred's Fast Food. Basically, in the first session we got the look of our app all done up. What we need to do now is code it. Okay, and we're going to begin the coding process by simply getting the plus and minus buttons working for each of these food items. So if we want to add food items to our order, we hit the plus sign. If we want to take things off our order, we just hit the minus sign. Okay, so let's start with the plus and the minuses for the burger. Actually, we'll do the plus signs first for all of them because it's quite easy and we can do a bit of a copy and paste job. And then we'll just do the minus signs after that. So let's start with this top plus button for the burger. Double click on that. Okay, and we get an event that pops up and it's going to be handling when we click on button burger plus. So what do we want to happen? Basically, when we hit that plus sign, we want this number to go up by 1. Okay, so it's pretty easy code. All we need to type in is text burger.text equals text burger.text plus 1. Okay, so it looks at what number's already in that text box, and what it does, it adds 1 to it. Okay, now there's a simpler way to write this. This is actually the long way to write it. What we can do is just delete what we've got here. We'll write text burger.text. Instead of writing text burger.text again, we just write plus equals 1. Okay, and that basically says whatever's written in text burger.text, so in that text box, we'll just add 1 to it. Okay, simple. Let's start it and test it. One simple line of code. So when we press this plus button now, you can see it goes up. Obviously it doesn't go down yet, but we've got it going up, which is really good. Okay, so let's do that for each of the other plus ones. Double click on it, write in text fries dot text plus equals 1. I might copy that section just there to save us writing in each time. Let's go over to the drink plus button, double click that, we'll type in text drink and then paste in dot text plus equals 1. Let's do the same for the ice cream, double click on it, text ice cream dot text plus equals 1. And for the value meal, double click on the little plus icon, we get text meal dot text plus equals 1. We quickly test that now by pressing the start button. Hopefully we can add to our order. Okay, that's working nicely. To take things off our order, we just do the opposite. It will be minus equals 1. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward as well. So let's double click on this top minus button here. And let's write in text burger.text. Instead of plus equals 1, we write minus equals 1. So it's just taking 1 off whatever's written in that text box. So I'll copy that and we'll paste that now onto the other ones. So text fries dot text minus equals 1. For the drinks, text drink dot text minus equals 1. For the ice cream, text ice cream dot text minus equals 1. And finally our value meal, so text meal, to type that one in, dot text minus equals 1. Alright, so let's just test that out now. We'll add a couple to each of them and we'll see if we can take them off. Looks like we can. Now there's going to be a bit of an issue here. We can go into the negatives. Okay, we don't want that. When we hit 0, we want it to stay on 0, so it doesn't go any lower. So we're going to need to add in a little bit more code to each of these negatives, or the minus signs here. So I'm going to go back up to the burger one here, okay, where we've got button burger minus dot click. So when we click on the minus button, we obviously take 1 off whatever's written in the text box. Okay, the next thing we need to do is an if-then statement. Okay, so if the number is equal to 0 or any lower, then we're just going to change that text back to 0. Okay, so it's always going to be at 0 and no lower. Can go higher though. So what we'll write is, we'll write if txt burger.text is less than or equal to 0, then what do we want to do? Well, we just want to simply set text burger.text equals 0. Okay, that way, if we try to go lower than 0, it won't allow us. It will always change our text back to the number 0. Let's have a look at that. So if we add a couple on, take a couple off, and if we try to go below 0 now, I keep pressing this minus button, but it won't go any lower than 0. So that little if-then statement just here solved our problem. Alright, so I'm going to copy that, come down to the next one, which is button fries minus dot click, and we'll paste it in. We just need to change where it says burger to fries. Okay, so if text fries, we try to go below 0, and we'll always keep the value at 0. That way it's never going to go into the negatives. Copy and paste it in again for the drink. Looks good. Let's go down. We'll do the ice cream. So text ice cream, text ice cream, and finally the meal. So looking at the text box for the meal. Alright, so let's just give that a quick test run to make sure we can't go past negative for all of these. No, but we can still add to them, which is good. Alright, so we've got our little plus and minus buttons working. That's the tedious part out of the way. Next thing we need to do is a bit of all the calculations, I suppose. So whatever order we've got in here, or whatever number of items we've got in here, when we click place order, we want the total to appear down in here. Alrighty, so we need to declare a few variables. Remember, the numbers that appear in here, it could be anything. They're never a set number. Everybody's order is going to be different. Okay, so those variables are changing numbers. So we need to go right to the top of our code, and after public class form fast food, this is where we're going to declare our variables. They're going to be public variables, and that means we can use these variables all throughout our code. Okay, that's going to make more sense as we go on and we practice this. Alright, so we need to declare the first variable as burger, and we're going to declare it as a decimal. It's a decimal data type. You could use integer, you could use single or double, I suppose, if you wanted to, but let's try decimal. Kind of does the same thing anyway. Alright, so that number's going to be in there. Next one's fries, then drink, then ice cream, then meal. So let's just keep declaring these variables. So we'll declare fries as decimal. We'll declare the drink as decimal. Let's declare ice cream as decimal, and declare the meal as a decimal as well. Now the last one we want to declare is the total. So declare in memory total as a decimal as well. Okay, the reason they're decimals is because of the prices. Okay, so you've got 3.95, 2.5, 2.95. They're decimals. Okay, so it's pretty obvious. That's why we're using the decimal data type. Alright, so we've declared these variables now. We can use these variables throughout our code to make some calculations happen. Alright, so let's work on placing an order now. This is where the calculations are going to take place. So double click on place order. Okay, and we get a new little piece of code up that handles when we click on button order. Alright, first thing we want to do is we want to calculate how much our burger is going to cost. So basically, whatever number of burgers we've ordered, we're going to times it by its price, so $4.95. So say we've got 2 in this box, it will be 2 times $4.95. and that will give us our total for the burgers, and so on. We just go all the way through timesing whatever's in the text boxes by the price over here. Alright, so let's have a look. We're going to write in burger first of all. So the burger variable will equal txt burger dot text, and we're going to times that by the price of the burger. Oops, we're not going to put in dollar signs though, we're just going to write in 4.95. Okay, so that means the burger variable, which we declared up the top here, so this one just here, its value is going to be whatever the quantity was in this box, we times it by the price of the burger, so $4.95. Let's do that for the rest of them. So we're going to have fries, drink, ice cream, we're going to have meal. Okay, so let's go back to fries. So fries will equal txt fries dot text, and we'll times that by the price of the fries, which I believe was 3.95. Now for the drink equals txt drink dot text, and we'll times that by $2.50, which is 2.5. The ice cream equals txt ice cream dot text, and our ice creams were $2.95. And then for our meal, we just write in txt meal dot text, and we times our meals by $8.95. So the last thing we need to do to get ourselves a total, I'm just going to push it down a couple of lines. We're going to write in txt total dot text, and we're going to write equals, we're just going to basically add these variables all together. So burger plus fries plus drink plus, oops, get this spelling right eventually, plus ice cream plus meal. Okay, so that basically says our text total, which is this text box down here, its value is going to be, or the text that goes into it, all of these variables added together, so up here. Let's test it and see if we get any errors. Hopefully not. We might be able to see if we get this working or not. And when you run this, you see that the right side of the page is getting cut off a little bit. We might just have to adjust our header a little bit or change one of our settings. Worry about that later though. I'm going to add 2 of everything to our order. Okay, when I click the place order button, these 2's should be times by the price of each of the items, and then we'll get a grand total in this total box here. There we go, so 46.6. Doesn't really look like a currency figure. We do need a dollar sign in there. We probably need a 0 after that so you can tell that it's 60 cents. Okay, so it's not looking too great just yet, so we just need to format that. Okay, but it is working. If we add something else to the order and place it again, you see it adds it to the order. So we at least know our calculations are working. What we want to do is make it look a little bit nicer. So back in your code where you've got text total.text equals, and you've got everything added together, what we might do is just before the burger there in quotation marks, write in a dollar sign. Okay, it's going to put a dollar sign before all of this. Then we might put the and symbol, and then we're going to write the word format, and in brackets just wrap up burger plus fries plus drink plus ice cream plus meal, then put a comma, and in quotation marks write 0.00, and then close your bracket off. Oops, might need to just close the quotation marks first, then the bracket. Got that right eventually. So what this format does now is it still adds together all of our variables, but it puts it in this format here. Okay, so let's see if we now get a dollar sign at the start of our total, and we get it in this format here. Okay, let's click start and have a look. So I'll just add one of everything, place the order. We now get a $sign and we get a 0 at the end that shows us it's 30 cents. We don't just get 0.3. I might just right align this text as well. It's usually good practice, I think, in accounting to have the total pushed over to the right. So if you click on that text box, just look for text align and change it to the right. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. The next thing we might do is work on clearing the form. You might have noticed the clear form button over here. So if we put in an order, make a mistake, we can simply clear the form and start again. Okay, so let's have a go at that. So, oops, I should go back to the form and double click on clear form. It's actually really easy to do this one. We just need to write in, whoops, just need to write the name of the text box first of all. So text burger.text equals 0. I'm going to copy .text equals 0 because we're just going to do that for each of the text boxes. So text drink.text equals 0, text fries.text equals 0, text ice cream.text equals 0, and then text meal.text equals 0, and then the total as well. We want to reset that to 0. We also want to set the variables to 0 as well. Okay, otherwise our app will just keep adding up, whoops, whatever was in there originally. So let me just scroll down. I just lost where I was down here, and we'll just reset burger equals 0, fries equals 0, drink equals 0, ice cream equals 0, meal equals 0, and total equals 0. Alrighty, so that's looking better. Now when we start our app, let's see if we can reset it by clearing the form quite easily. So to clear form, everything goes back to 0. Okay. Even if we place an order now and you want to start a new order, just click clear form, everything resets to 0, and we can start again. So I guess the final thing we've got to do now is get this print receipt button working. Okay, basically when we place an order, we get our total here. When we click print receipt, it's going to list each of the items that we ordered and how much each item came to, and then it's going to give us a total order at the bottom of that receipt. It basically breaks down each of the food items that were on the menu and how much each individual item cost. So let's double click on print receipt there, and you'll get this little method at the bottom here that's handling button receipt. So when it's clicked, what do we want it to do? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to declare a variable total. Okay, we haven't actually done that yet. We've given, if I just scroll back up, actually I'll write this in first, total equals text total dot text. Okay, we actually haven't given this variable total a value yet, so that's what its value is going to be. Whatever is in this total box here, that will be the value of our total variable. Okay, you might have seen it earlier on. This is where we gave our other variables values, so burger, fries, drink and ice cream, that all got their values there. We didn't have total in there though. Okay, so we need to give total a value there first. Alright, so back down in this little section here where we're clicking on the receipt button, after we've declared the total variable and given it a value, the next thing we need to do is we need to have a message box pop up that gives us a breakdown of our order. So I'm just going to write in message box dot show, and in our message box let's get our burgers up first of all. So in quotation marks let's write burgers, do a colon and a $sign. After that we're just going to put the and symbol outside of the quotation marks and write burger. So what that's going to do is display a message box that tells us how much we spent on burgers. Alright, if I run that, hopefully there's no errors and we can actually have a look at how that works. So if I just buy 2 burgers, place an order with $9.90, print a receipt, and it tells us we spent 9.9 on burgers. So we're going to have to fix the formatting shortly. Won't worry about that just yet though. We'll just see if we can get the rest of our food into this message box. Okay, so we've got burgers in. The next one is fries, and I want to push fries down onto the next line of the message box. So what we're going to write in now is we're going to put another ampersand sign. We're going to write VBCRLF. Stands for Visual Basic Carriage, Return, and Line Feed. Don't worry about what it means, just basically pushes your text down onto a next line. Okay, so after that we just do the AND symbol or ampersand symbol again, and now we're ready to do our next line. So we're writing fries, $, close the quotation marks. After that we write AND fries. That should now give us our burger prices. So how much we spent on burgers. We push it onto the next line. And on that next line we have fries and how much we spent on fries. Let's quickly test that and we'll see if that's looking good. So I'll add 2 burgers, 1 lot of fries, place an order, and we print the receipt. You can see now we've got burgers on one line, fries on the next. Looking good. So now it's just a matter of doing it for each of the other variables or items on the menu. Okay, so I'm going to copy this little section here, save me typing it every time. So after the word fries, I'll put in that carriage return line feed. On the next one we got drinks, $, close the quotation marks, put the AND symbol, and write drink. You may need to pause the video from time to time to make sure that you get this spot on. So just be careful there. So after the drinks, we go to a new line. And on the new line, we've got ice cream. So in quotation marks, write ice cream, $, close your quotation marks, and put in your variable ice cream. After that we'll go to another new line. This time we're going to put in our value meals. I might put S's on each of these. So ice creams, value meals, and meal. And after that, the last one is the total. So let's put in the total, $, close the quotation marks, and total. Alright, that was a lot of code. You may need to just pause the video and just go back through and check all that, but let's just start it and see if I've got any errors. No errors, which is a good sign. We'll chuck one of everything on the menu into our order, place the order, print the receipt, and you can see now how much we spent on everything and get a grand total at the end. Now in this box we should have a header at the top and maybe a little symbol to go on the side as well, so it looks a little bit more professional. This message box does look a bit empty at the moment without this little header at the top. So we can do that quite easily. Go to the end of where you just typed in all that code. Whoops. We need to come back inside that final bracket after the word total there, and we need to put in a comma. The header we're going to put in is simply receipt. So write receipt in quotation marks, put a comma again, and we're going to write in message box buttons dot OK. And then we're going to put a comma. This time we'll write message box icon dot, and we'll choose information. So that's going to give us an OK button to push. And we're also going to have a little information symbol that appears in our message box as well. The header at the top should say receipt. So that's what those last 3 things do. Start it up, have a look now. I'll just place a couple of things on the order. So I'll drink an ice cream, print the receipt. There's our header, it says receipt. A little information symbol here, and we've got an OK button that we can click now. And that takes us back to our app. Alright, so that is our receipt looking pretty good. Now the issue with the receipt that we saw before was the formatting. Let me just show you one more time. If I was to put in a few drinks, you can see the drinks here comes up as 7.5 instead of $7.50. Okay, we want to get that looking good. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to go back up the top where we placed our order. Where are we? It's not up the top, it's in the middle. It's this one here you need to look for. Okay, so when we clicked button order, this is where we set our variables with a value. Okay, what we need to do is look in here where we've got burger equals, and before text burger we're actually going to have to add in a bit more code. So I'm going to write in the word format and put textburger.text in brackets, and after that 495 we put a comma and we put in the format that we want this text to be in. So 0.00 is what we want to write inside quotation marks, and then close the bracket off. Alright, we need to do that for each of these variables. So at the start of them we do format and we put a bracket. So I'm just going to copy and paste that into the start of each of those. At the end we put a comma and we put the format that we want this to be displayed in. So it'll have $1 at the start, decimal point, and then the cents at the end. Alright, let's run that and see if that fixes our receipt. So I'll just add a couple of things, in particular this one with a 0 on the end, that's the one that's causing us a bit of grief. Place the order, print the receipt. Okay, so drinks now has a 0 on the end, which is good, and you can see our total has a 0 on the end. So it's not just 11.4, it's $11.40. Not just 2.5 for the drinks, it's $2.50. So our receipt is working well. Our calculations are all working, clear form's working, so it looks like all our coding is done. The last thing I want to fix is just our header at the top here is getting a little bit cut off. There's a few ways you could go about fixing this. Okay, one is just to make your header a bit smaller, and then it would fit in nicely. Another one is just by clicking on the form and changing under layout the auto scale mode. You could try and change it to none. This will probably make it a little bit wider than it should, but we'll have a look and see what it does. So it fits it in pretty nicely, it's just the header's probably pushed over to the left a little bit too much, which is a little bit weird. Let's try this. Looks like it gets cut off there, but actually turns out alright when we run our app. Alright, so one final test. All our plus buttons are working. We might take off one or two of these drinks, take off some fries, place the order. There's our total. And print the receipt. Everything looks good there. Clear the form and you can start again if you wanted to. Alrighty, so we have a working fast food app now. I won't show you any more in this video, but feel free to add in some tooltips. Okay, there's little captions that appear at the top of buttons and whatnot, just to explain to users how they work. Okay, it's a very handy feature using these tooltips. Actually, I might just show you how to do a couple. So just pick up tooltip, drag it onto your page. You'll see tooltip appears here. If you want, you can rename it TLT tips. That'll do. And I might just do one on print receipt. Okay, so you scroll all the way to the bottom of the properties here and you'll see the miscellaneous option to put a tooltip in. Okay, so say click to print or to display a receipt. Okay, if you want to do one for clear form, you'll write in click to reset the form. Okay, so now when we start our app and you hover over the top of those buttons, are you hesitant to click it? Well, you might be hesitant, and that little tooltip will appear to tell you what that button does. Same with print receipt, a little tooltip appears and tells you what it does if you click it. You probably want to put one in for place order and maybe for these pluses and minus buttons as well. Okay, another thing I just thought of, just in here, you can actually type numbers in and place the order. That's fine. Okay, in case they're big orders, you don't want to sit there and just keep clicking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You might want to order 100 packs of fries. Okay, so you can just type in those text boxes, which is handy as well. Right, so I'll close that off now. That will do us for this video. I'll see you in the next one where we'll create something new.